Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Dabo Swinney, Cade Klubnik, this Clemson offense seemed to have found an answer Saturday night against App State on the offensive side of the football in what I think is by far Cade Klubnik's best performance as a Clemson Tiger. Now sitting down Sunday morning, rewatching this football game, it was a beauty to see. And for the Clemson fans who've been rocking with the boys going back to the summer months, this is kind of what we were banging the table for in terms of what this Clemson offense should be looking like in terms of the vertical presence that they have down the field. Now, I want to address something real quick. You're going to see on Twitter, on social media, on the message boards, well, this was against App State. Those same people who are saying this is against App State were probably picking App State to outright win on the road a couple days ago against Clemson. Like, this is an App State team that a lot of people picked to go to the 12-team college football playoff as that group of 5 team. This is not an FCS opponent. This is a quality team that Clemson just looked really damn good against. Now, I think the big question for Clemson is as you get into ACC play, can you continue to have the offense look like this? That's the question. Now, I want to get into a few big storylines and takeaways for myself in terms of what we saw from this Clemson offense, most notably not only Cade Klubnik, but what we saw from guys like Bryant Wesco as well. Before we get into it, as always, to the Clemson fans, I would love to hear from you guys in the comment section. This is, you don't want to overreact to one football game, but if this Clemson offense can kind of ride this momentum over the next couple of weeks, I think that's going to be massive for this Clemson team. So I would love to hear from you guys in the comment section. What stood out to you guys? Of course, if you all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. The amount of support that the Clemson fans continue to show, whether it's good or bad, I appreciate you guys. And without further ado, let's get into this one. Let's start with Cade because I think by far this was Cade's best football game at the collegiate level. 24 of 26, 378 yards and 5 touchdowns. He was 3 of 3, 20-plus yards down the field. He was 7 of 7, 10-plus yards down the field. His average depth of target was 9.3 yards. You could see Garrett Riley asking Cade Klubnik to push the ball down the field vertically a little bit more. And I think not only were you able to hit some big-time explosive plays to guys like Bryant Wesco vertically down the field, I don't think it's a coincidence that guys like Jake Bringenstool and Antonio Williams had so much more room to operate in some of those underneath route concepts. You go back to Clemson last year, they struggled so much on offense because everything seemed so condensed. Like if you were an opposing defense playing this Clemson offense, you're just walking your safeties 10 yards from the line of scrimmage. You're really pinching down on this Clemson offense because in 2023, Clemson showed no ability to really push the ball down the field vertically. Not only did they not ask Cade Klubnik to do so, but they didn't really have a wide receiver to emerge as that vertical threat. You go back to last year, Antonio Williams, Tyler Brown, Jake Bringenstool, kind of the centerpieces of this Clemson passing attack. All very good football players, but none of those guys are exceptional big-bodied receivers that can work vertically down the field. And because of that, there was just so much congestion in the short intermediate portions of the football field because Clemson didn't have a deeper third presence. You inject Bryant Wesco into this Clemson offense, he all of a sudden becomes a guy that not only can create those explosive plays down the field with the size and the speed that he has, but more importantly, I don't think it's a coincidence that Clemson had over 200 yards after the catch last night. There's so much more space getting created in those short underneath concepts for guys like Jake Bringenstool and Antonio Williams. So you look at Bryant Wesco and say, yes, he's a guy that can create those explosive plays. We all know he can do that. But he's also a guy that just his presence being on the football field is going to inherently help Cade Klubnik, Jake Bringenstool, Antonio Williams, and that connection in the shorter intermediate part of the football field. I think Bryant Wesco, and again, the Clemson fans who, have been rocking with the fellas all summer, we kind of said we need somebody to step up vertically. Whether it was going to be a guy like Adam Randall or whether it was going to be the true freshman TJ Moore and Bryant Wesco, at least in my opinion, we got our answer Saturday night. And quite frankly, I know a lot of Clemson fans were frustrated that guys like Bryant Wesco didn't get more opportunity against Georgia. I'm kind of in that boat. Like what you just saw from a guy like Bryant Wesco, he brings a dynamic to this Clemson offense that they so sorely missed, not only against Georgia, but really all of 2023. If Bryant Wesco can emerge as a guy, I think this opens up Clemson's offense significantly. Now, I think the second takeaway that I had was the run game was cooking and play action was cooking. Therefore, you look at Clemson. Cade Klubnik was 5 of 5 on play action plays against Georgia last week. The problem with play action was that one, they didn't go to it all that often, but more importantly, because they weren't running the football that great and they weren't staying on schedule. Play action doesn't work when you're in 3rd and 11 because the defense knows you ain't running the football. And so if this Clemson offense can have a more present run game, be on schedule a little bit more, which certainly gets reflected in 6 of 12 on 3rd downs. Like there were not a lot of 3rd and long situations that Clemson was in because they stayed on schedule. The play action is going to be a little bit more of a bigger presence within this Clemson offense. So you saw Cade Klubnik pushing the ball down the field. You saw Bryant Wesco emerge as that, vertical wide receiver that really can make safeties and defensive coordinators have to respect what we can do vertically down the field. You saw more space getting opened up in those underneath concepts, and you saw a really efficient run game and then work and play action off of that. That's what you brought Garrett Riley in to do. And you could kind of tell this was the Garrett Riley offense in full effect. Now the question mark is, can Clemson maintain this over the next couple of weeks? And I think what I'd be really excited about if I'm a Clemson fan is, when has Cade ever had this much confidence? Like I kind of went back to the 2024 season and said, has Cade ever had a game like this? Not really. But college Charleston, week 2 last year, it was kind of sloppy on the box score. It looked pretty good, but it wasn't necessarily a great performance by Cade Klubnik. This was a 5-star performance by Cade. This is the first taste that he's had of some real confidence within this Clemson offense. Now the challenge is, can you ride the wave? Can you continue this confident offense that wants to attack vertically, that wants to create space underneath? If they can do that, with how good I think this defense can be, I think you look at the ACC, it's wide open, right? Florida State certainly doesn't look like that great of a team. NC State got trounced by Tennessee. The Miami Hurricanes are really good. But outside of that, this ACC conference, I think is really open. And if Clemson can continue to build up on this offensive performance, I think this can be a really dangerous team within the ACC. This was a young team. This is a young team. I think they do get better over the next couple of weeks. I'm excited to see what Dabo, Garrett Riley, Cade can do in terms of building off this performance. We'll cut it out there. Again, I think Bryant Wesco really the key to this Clemson offense. We'd love to hear how you guys are feeling. TJ Moore played really good football. I do have one other thing too. Elijah Thurman is a dude. Got some work as a true freshman on the offensive line. Really, really impressed. And you heard really good things out of him in fall camp. You talk about Clemson continue to build that depth on the offensive line. That could be a guy that plays for Clemson at some point in 2024, which I thought was another really good storyline. All right, we'll close it out there. Again, appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate y'all. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace.